cut.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's a great story. Okay, how I became a filmmaker. Okay, it all started back when I started dancing here in Toronto. Like I was saying, I came back here in '75 and went to Toronto Regional Ballet. Funny enough, the piano player for Toronto Regional Ballet at the time was Madame Cronenberg, which is David Cronenberg's mother. You know, she kept telling me, you gotta meet my son, he's a filmmaker, you should be in film. And I used to say, no, I'm not interested in film, I'm a dancer, you know, I don't want to be in film. So, anyway, skip forward like 25 years, 1991, and I'm here in Toronto. And after being involved in many businesses and so forth, you know, I meet up with these filmmakers, start hanging out with filmmakers, and then I started feeling, wait a second, I kind of, maybe filmmaking. I remembered Madame Cronenberg saying, you should be in filming. So I woke up one day and I said, okay, I'm a filmmaker. So I went around town in Toronto. Whoever asked me what I did, I said, I'm a filmmaker. I met this guy who asked me, what do you do? I said, I'm a filmmaker. He said, oh great, I want to do a music video. I said, no problem. He says, I only got 2,000. I said, okay, I'll do it for 2,000. Meanwhile, I didn't know what I was talking about, but I had the sense enough to pick up a filmmaker's handbook and get a few pointers about how films are made and cameras and stuff. So I was not totally ignorant. So if I'm going to say I'm a filmmaker, I got to have something to back it up. So I read up on it. So anyhow, this guy gives me his number. I give him my number, and I'm thinking not. Because he said he had a rap video, a rap group called Split Decision at the time, and he wanted to do a music video. I gave him my number, I took his, and I didn't think any more of it, because I thought, oh yeah, this is just bullshitting. So next day he calls me up. And he says, yeah, so I want to do the music video. I said, are you serious? He said, yeah. I said, all right, let's do it. I went around town, I got cameras, I found my filmmaker friends who just finished school. I got them to like tell me what equipment they needed. I went and rented it. But then 3 days before the whole production, I did the storyboard, I did the whole thing. I didn't have a space to shoot it. And I went to PS Productions down on Logan and Eastern. And they said to me, well, if you're coming to us early, but right now our studios are busy, we were giving it to you for like $400. It doesn't matter, because I needed 2 days. I said, do you know anybody else? They said, oh yeah, there's this Greek guy next door. He's got lots of space. Why don't you go with him? Because you're Greek, he's Greek. You know, maybe he'll help you out. So I trudge on down there. And when I get down there, I get shocked because I see, you know, Cinespace Studios. I walk up to his office, and he's got this huge office, you know, leather furniture. He's on 2 phones, one on Walt Disney, and the other one he's doing some international trade business. He throws me his brochure. I open it up, and I see $2,000 a day for a studio. I look at him, he looks at me, I close it, I said, thank you, Nick, very much. It's been nice meeting you. I don't want to take any more of your time. I gotta go. He says, what's the matter? Don't you like my space? I said, no. You got an excellent space, but I'm sorry, I came to the wrong place. He says, why? This is like just like out of a Hollywood film. I'm going to film this scene one day. It's totally true. And he says, I said, no, your space is great, Nick, but you look, the guy next door said there was this Greek guy with space, and I thought you were a vegetable merchant. I'm going to shoot in front of vegetables or something, because this Greek guy having space. I didn't know you had this world-class studios. And at the time, Cinespace was the largest film studios outside of California. It was 15 acres. Over 900,000 square feet of space in shooting studios and office space. And he says, listen, I said, and I told him, look, I can't afford it. So when I can, I'll come back. But right now I can't afford it. I'm just doing this little thing. So please, I gotta go. He says, how much money you got? I said, listen, don't embarrass me. Okay? I can't afford it. All right? I gotta go. He says, look, stay. How much money you got? I said, all right. I had $2,000. I haven't started shooting yet. I've spent $1,600. So let's say I got $400. He says, okay, go look at the space. So he sends his brother. I look at the space. It's huge. It's 10 times more than I need. It's 20,000 square feet. I come back, says, do you like the space? Yeah, Nick, I like the space. But I told you, you're embarrassing me. You know, I came to the wrong place. I don't have the money. He says, don't worry. Just do what you need and you know, pay me what you can. I said, are you sure? He says, yeah. I said, okay, I need it for 2 days, for Saturday and Sunday. He says, you got it. Anyway, I'm there Saturday and Sunday. I put up all these sets. I was painting. I didn't sleep for 4 days. He comes. He's watching me do what I do. You know, and he's laughing. So I thought, look at the guy, he's laughing at me. Anyway, we finished shooting the video. I cleaned up the space really nice because I felt really embarrassed, you know. I go back to his office. He says, I give him $400, which I really had to scrape together. I had to bounce a couple of checks. And he says, sit down. I sit down. He says, listen, now, what are you doing these days? Are you working? I said, no, I'm not working. I'm doing a film. I'm going to make millions of dollars from this rap group. They're great. I'm doing the music videos, blah, blah, blah. And he says, because I need somebody to manage the space. I said, what do you mean manage the space? He says, look, I'm too busy. I need somebody who knows film, who knows these producer types from Hollywood, who can make them happy and keep them out of my hair. So I said, what would I have to do? He says, well, you negotiate a contract. You know, he said, you want to be a filmmaker? I said, no, I am a filmmaker. He says, okay, you want to become a better filmmaker? I said, yeah, okay, there's things I need to learn. He says, okay, well, then you can be the manager here. Don't tell them you want to be a filmmaker. They'll let you in on all their secrets about how to do filmmaking, as long as you don't tell them you're a filmmaker. I said, okay. I said, but then I turned to him and I said, Nick, are you nuts? He says, why? I said, well, why would you trust me with the keys to all this time? You don't even know me. You're going to give me the keys to all your studios? He says, yeah. I said, why? He says, because you're the first Greek who walked into my office, standing on his own 2 feet, not begging for a fucking favor. Excuse my language, but that's how he talked. You didn't beg for a fucking favor. You weren't on your knees. You came in here. You showed respect for my space. You respected the fact I charged $2,000, and you were willing to just not beg. You walk away, and also you cleaned up my space. You took nice care of it. So you appreciate it. You take care of it. You should be the manager. So I said to him, I'm sorry, I can't. Because obviously you need like a year's time, right? You don't need somebody for a couple of months. He says, no, I need a commitment. I said, I can't give you a commitment because I'm busy. I'm a filmmaker. So I walked away. Anyway, I go back to my filmmaker friends. They tell me, are you nuts? The guy offered you to manage CineSpace Studios and you said no? I said, no, man, I'm committed to this rap group, Split Decision. So anyway, 3 months down the road, he calls me up. And he says, oh, Thanos, how you doing? I said, well, I've run out of money. You know, I got no more money. We're not any further ahead than we were before. He says, so you need a job? I said, yeah, I need a job. So I go down there and I start managing CineSpace Studios. And while I was working there, when we were really slow, and this is how it gets into all this rave thing, we had nobody to rent the studios. It was really a hard time, because the dollar was up and productions were down. And then these 2 kids show up at my door. You know, they were like 19 and 21. They're telling me they want to rent the studio to shoot a music video. I said, fine. How much space you need? He says, we need the biggest one you got. I said, all right, fine. What do you need it for? We're shooting a music video with these 2 bands. We're going to have 2 stages. We're going to shoot them simultaneously. I said, fine. So what do you need such a big space? Why don't you shoot them one after the other? He said, no, we need it together because we're going to have some people to look like there's an audience there. I said, yeah, okay. And when I went out with them, I noticed that they didn't have a car. They came on a streetcar. So I thought, listen, you guys, what are you really up to? What are you talking about? Because what you're saying doesn't make sense. Well, then said, well, actually, we want to throw a rave. And I said, what's a rave? So they took me to a rave. And I was shocked because I'm like a 60s kid, 70s. I went there. There was all these kids just dancing away. And there was these smart drinks. And anyhow, the atmosphere was great and so forth. And so then that's how I got into raves. I started renting it to rave organizations. And then I got interested in looking at raves and techno and what's really going on in that movement. And I started researching it. So then I looked at where raves originated, found out they originated in England, basically. And that these young kids used to take over these warehouses and these factories that closed down because of Thatcherism and the deindustrialization of England. And these young kids would go in there at night and dance all night and take ecstasy. So I thought that was interesting because, wait a second, here you have a depressed economy. These kids will never work in those factories again, because in England there was this class thing where the father passed on the job to the son. So these kids will never work in factories again. So therefore, they're going in like dancing on the graves of the Industrial Revolution, and which foreshadows the coming of the information age. And at the same time, this uncertainty, depression, so forth. They're taking ecstasy, which is really an antidepressant. Anyway, the plan right now is I'm leaving on Thursday, October 7th, along with Mad Mark, a.k.a. Mark Chambers. We've done this film project, and we put together this project, which is it has its origins in the rave scene. So we've developed a kind of interesting vehicle to promote a CD and 5 songs that we've created, and also sell it for broadcasters as a monthly series. It's kind of like Lonely Planet Gone techno, where we travel to each country and explore the alienation that happens when the movement of population from the agricultural society into the cities. They're cut off from their roots and their ecstatic dance, origins of community and so forth, and what happens. And it would be like a travelogue going to 12 countries over 12 months. And we'll also have a CD and a live show as well. Cut, 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 cut. Okay.